We've all yelled at the top of our lungs hoping to go Super Saiyan at least once in our lives. And while most people will not admit to that, it's hard to deny how influential Dragonballz has been on the world. This is Migoy from Too Much Gaming, and today we are taking a look at Bandai's figurized standard Son Goku model kit. This video wouldn't be possible without our friends over at GreatToysOnline.com who supplied us with this kit to look at for you. We built this model kit on stream with a few of our friends who were also sent the same kit for review. And just to be clear, what we built is not the retail release. What you're looking at is some sort of promotional version or a pre-production type, so there might be differences between this and the regular box release. The build itself was pretty fun and easy. The majority of the build is very straightforward, and I'd say the overall kit is simpler than even some Gundam high grades. Even with minimal to no nub cleanup, this kit looks mighty fierce. There's no doubt that this is the Saiyan protagonist from the Dragonballz series. The plastic gates on this kit are pretty thin, for the most part, and are well positioned enough that the cut marks aren't too obvious at a glance. A few egregious gates can be found on the hair pieces, but luckily are also positioned out of the way of most viewing angles. The details and molding are sharp. Goku's defined muscle tones are completely present, and the kit encapsulates the baggy look of his clothing despite everything being made out of plastic. Bandai was also able to figure out how to translate Goku's crazy hair into a 3D space that somehow looks correct at any angle. And speaking of his hair, the black plastic used for it has been done in a flat textured finish, making the kit look stellar even from a straight build. Model kit articulation is pretty much your standard fare with a few interesting things. So Goku's head is on, I believe it's a hinge. You can sort of see that. It's been a while since I built this thing, but maybe if we can take apart his facial features, we can see it better. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Yep, it's a ball joint on a hinge peg, so the face itself can look up and down to a degree. Like I should put his face back together so he doesn't look super weird. It's also really nice how easy it is to just take it apart in case you want to do some face swaps. But his head is on like a ball joint that can pretty much look any which way, even all the way to the back. Then the neck itself is on a hinge that makes it go like Super Saiyan neck deep with all that big old muscle in the way. It's a really good range of motion. Like I'd say more than I'd expect it to have. It's pretty expressive all things considered. Torso itself is on a big old ball joint in the middle. It's actually on a hinge and then the ball peg in the stomach, so the hinge allows the waist to go oosh. Then there's this may look a bit awkward, but it actually, especially when you're building it, because you can see like half a ball shape on that, but all things considered, it works really well. And when you're bending him forward that much, you're most likely not going to look at him from the back anyway, so I think that's pretty okay. Nice sculpting on the back. The arms, I'd say the shoulders is something of an interest. You can see how deep these cuts are while still maintaining a really thick look to the shirt. But it looks like the shoulders do a lot, surprisingly. So these blue things are just wedged in there. They kind of just wiggle just to get out of the way of things. The shoulders themselves are on what you'd find normally on, like, say, an action figure or a Gunpla. It's I believe it's not sure if it's a straight peg or a ball peg, but there's a sort of universal joint in there. So it can bend that much. It can 360, as you can see. And then bicep cut with the muscles. Then a single hinge elbow. It's actually just the groove is part of or I'd say the hole is part of the actual bicep part. But there's enough clearance for it to go over 90. And I'd say that's pretty much all you kind of need. You know? Wrist is on... Well, the hands are on a ball joint and the wrist just has a little pop-in hole socket for him. The shoulders, like this orange part, can swing really far forward, and then it can do a double motion of like wiggling just a bit. Look at how far that, like, of course you get this huge gap in there and you can see all the internal workings of a Super Saiyan's body, but like look at how far those go, man. Like it looks a bit awkward from the back, but up front, like that's some range. Like it's still like pretty awkward, but you know, it does a lot. Like even how wide his pigeon chest is, I kind of appreciate it. And like it folds in pretty darn nicely. And like I say, you can get these subtle movements in between those. So aside from the big old push forward, you can also like just wiggle it just a little bit while it's in there too. That's really nice. Like I said, the stomach is on a ball joint, but it's more for connection and not really for movement. Like you can get a bit of wiggle, but you know, if you kind of twist it, the shape is not a perfect circle on the belt, so there's not really any room for it to kind of twist around all too much. But it's a fairly secure connection, and I'd say that the torso ball makes up for all of that too, or whatever joint is going on in there. Some kind of a ball peg, a combination of both. So very expressive upper body. I kind of wish the arms were longer, which I'll get into that in a bit, I guess, or before, I don't know. It just looks a bit awkward how the arms are just a tad too short for my liking. But big old legs though. So what makes the waist interesting is that you see all this nonsense going up with this bizarre shape of a waist, of a thigh, of a, what do you call that? A hip is the word I was looking for. Still, like, it's a very expressive hip. You got like a big old ball joint in there with I don't know if it's a universal joint, but big old ball joint with some hinges for the thigh cut. And they added to that is that the hip can hinge downward as well. Like look at that, the combination of, well, here both hips side by side. Look at the difference in leg length from that. Pop it in, pop it out, swing it down, swing it up. It gets you a lot of range of motion. Once you know it gives a lot of clearance essentially for the hip to do whatever Super Saiyan Kung Fu that they do in the Dragonballz. So that, like I showed earlier, it can go all the way pretty far. Of course, you have to take note of the shape clashing with each other, but that's pretty good range for a hip, more than I expected it to have. And the knee is actually just a single joint, and I was expecting it to have like the figure arts problem where there's a big old divot in the back of the pant clothing, the baggy pants, for it to be able to bend a certain way. But much like the elbow joint where the hole is on the upper part of the limb, same goes for here, where this all the way down to the actual knee is a big old chunk. Like you assemble it, but it doesn't move. However, you get this much clearance on the leg. Look at that. Way over 90 degrees. Like this is 90 and then oof. Good range, nice deep knee, and a ton exposed like knee clothing to make up for it. And they somehow fit all of this. Like the clever part is here at the back, it goes like look at that clearance. Oh baby, that's some good knee joints right there. Real good knee clearance. The boot, I'd say, is on boot cut up here, and the foot itself has got it's pegged in like a modern day Marvel like Legends figure where there's the ankle joint and then the peg goes like a bit forward, so it allows for the ankle to get that beautiful pivot, and the big old hinge lets it go like all the way like that. Very nice and nice good clearance on the foot, I'd say. If you're having trouble posing the guy because of how weirdly shaped everything is, and how the boots are at an angle like naturally because of how the way the leg is molded, you have to get like a bit all clever with moving this and then moving this and then moving that and all, without accidentally disassembling the foot as well. But I'd say, like, even though it doesn't feel the most solid, it does its job, and you can get some pretty easy stances. Like even just like positioning him without having to sculpt the foot beforehand. You can just plop him down, sort of wiggle things into place, and then he can achieve some form of balance, given how small his feet are in comparison to everything else going on here. Especially look at those big old legs, man. And these tiny arms, gosh, like it looks so good, save for those tiny arms. But I don't know, Toriyama does like drawing some big old legs, so maybe that goes into something with the design. Solid articulation from this model kit, very playable. As far as accessories go, the kinda hearted Saiyan comes with an array of swappable hands. 2 fists are present for most of your punching needs, a pair of open hands are included to recreate some Kamehamehas, a double pointing right hand is there to simulate Goku's instant transmission technique, and last but not least is a saluting/waving right hand. These all have ball joints that connect to sockets in the wrist and are easy enough to swap out. Three alternate faces don Goku's base moods: serious, happy, and angry, all of which incorporate the feature that the Figurized Standard line is trying to achieve by having their kits be as color separated as possible, meaning that all the color you see here, sans the pink tongue being stickers, is done in colored plastic. That is a really cool engineering feat with regards to toy design, and I'd say the tongue being a sticker isn't much of a downside as it blends well and, at least on my copy, stays in place. Swapping out the faces is as simple as removing the front bangs, pulling out the old one, and pegging in the new face. The pegs may not look all that secure, but surprisingly hold the pieces very well. Also found on the kit is a waist clip that can connect to most Bandai action bases, or more fittingly, the sold separately Aura Effect bases. The final accessory is a big clear blue Kamehameha blast that comes with its own stand. I'd be careful with handling this as the clear plastic is a lot more brittle than the rest of the kit. Also included is an energy ball meant to be held in Goku's hands to simulate said Kamehameha. The Figurized Standard Son Goku is a fantastic piece that looks great and is a joy to play around with. This is basically a fully fledged action figure with the novelty of also being a model kit. While I personally find the proportions a bit off, seeing as I find the arms a bit too short and the legs being a bit too big, this is mostly an aesthetic choice by the designers that may have followed a specific line art. As a standalone product, this is a great kit that I can easily recommend to any DBZ fan, both young and old. This is also great for experienced builders or even as an introductory piece for someone new to the hobby. That's it for the review. If you enjoyed the video and would like to share some of your thoughts on the kit, hit us up with a comment down below. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to purchase a Figurized Standard kit for yourself, head on over to greattoysonline.com to find great prices on great toys.